Joe Biden in May of 2023 decided that COVID no longer was a threat on a national scale and dismissed the national emergency. Then I learned, 2024, that our United States government created a document titled Long-Term Health Effects of COVID.
Well, if you're enjoying Table Talk, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to click that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest posts.
Around the world, fear rages and panic spreads. Fueled by chaos and confusion, the virus known as COVID-19 has caused a global pandemic and an uncertain future.
85% of the deaths that have occurred could have been avoided. What made the difference? Early treatment.
There's a whole lot of lies here, like the origin of the virus.
They literally weaponized the virus, and it produces the most toxic protein known to man.
It's freedom, not feardom. So I've always known, I said this is a medical issue, but it's a constitutional crisis.
This vaccine should not have been injected into a single human in the first place.
I can't think of a more important right to fight for right now in America. Because if there's a medical product you don't want to receive and you refuse it, and you can't get a job without it, then you don't have any rights.
Well, you know, the pandemic left so many people with lasting health issues and unanswered questions about our healthcare system. Today's guest is here to reveal the shocking truth behind COVID-19, the vaccines, and the ongoing long-term effects from his book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. But before we get to that, yes, I grabbed your attention on that. Joining me around the table is April Simons. We always want to know the truth, and we have the opportunity to present the truth uncensored on this platform. I'm grateful for that.
I am so grateful. I'm grateful for the issues that you get into that you're not afraid to get into. And I'm interested in this because I have a family member that is going through this right now. So
yeah, you know, Anna Kendall, welcome to the table first. But, you know, I think there are a lot of people still suffering from long-term COVID effects.
I know, and probably some are who don't even know that's what it is. So I'm eager to find out more about it. And I want you to know it is well with my soul.
Yes, amen. That's right. Rachel Lamb Brown, welcome to the table.
Thank
I know
you.
you're interested always in this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild to think it's been 5 years since COVID, but we're still dealing with the long-term repercussions from COVID-19, and not a lot of people are still talking about it.
Yeah.
It's important that we get people
And
answers.
we're going to today with our doctor friend who's here today. We love our doctors, don't we?
Yes, we do. We do. I mean, you know, that's I think, you know, the problem. It's good and it's bad because so many of our family members trust our doctors, and they don't really research and get all the facts. You know, and it could happen to us. You know, I mean, it's like knowledge is power, and it's so important that we truly do the research on this.
Yeah, and you know, Cindy, we offer truths and things that maybe you won't hear in the mainstream media, but we really leave it up to people to make that decision.
Absolutely.
We don't say you have to do this, you have to do that. We say, hey, this is something you may not know.
Yeah, but you know, if you see somebody drowning, you want to throw them a life preserver and say, please grab a hold of this, it'll save your life. And I feel like that's what we do. I am a seeker of truth.
Yes, for sure. Dr. Bryan Ardis, welcome to the table.
It is great to be here again. Wow, love the faces.
You feel a little overwhelmed, I know, but it's going to be okay. Well, Dr. Bryan Ardis, yeah, for sure. He is a doctor, author who's helped thousands recover from the effects of COVID-19. He's here to reveal the origins of the virus, uncover the hidden truths behind potential cures, and explore what the future holds for healthcare. Okay, so what made you write the book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies?
Yeah, actually, I like that question the most. First, thank you. People during the COVID-19 pandemic, Rachel, you mentioned it's been 5 years. For the 4 years almost of COVID-19, I was approached to write a book about remdesivir, uncovering the lies about the efficacy and safety of that drug that murdered millions around the world and responsible for most of the deaths they called COVID-19. But I always told them no during the pandemic because there was so much lies being perpetrated and then propagandized through the media about COVID, just to scare the crap out of everybody to go get a COVID-19 vaccine. So I couldn't step away for months to go write a book. I thought that was weird. So I waited until Joe Biden in May of 2023 decided that COVID no longer was a threat on a national scale and dismissed the national emergency. Then I learned in the beginning of 2024 that our United States government created a document after surveying medical doctors and scientists around the world, and they published a document titled Long-Term Health Effects of COVID. And they now have designated this a medical diagnosis called long COVID. And do you all know how many symptoms and medical diseases are now called long COVID that your medical health insurance can be billed for under a term called long COVID?
Wow.
Do you know how many symptoms and diseases there are in this document? 200.
Wow. I was going to say 100.
My
There are
goodness.
Just
200.
go through like maybe 10 of them.
Yeah, so let's go through that. So who's all affected too? We'll go through these. Did you know 6% of Americans right now have long COVID? That's 20 million people just in America alone. There's estimates of 300 million worldwide, so I hope this reaches all of you. So COVID-19, the long COVID symptoms, the top 10 are loss of taste and smell for years, ringing in their ears called tinnitus or tinnitus, brain fog or dementia, diabetes is now a long COVID
Really?
side effect. Did you know that blood clotting disorders are now a published side effect of COVID or long COVID? And did you know that schizophrenia, psychosis, PTSD, and depression are all now published long COVID symptoms that your psychiatrist can bill to your insurance company to get psychiatric drugs prescribed to you for the rest of your life?
And what about the nervous system? I know it was affected by a lot of people as well.
The nervous system, there's 3 systems in the human body that were affected the most by COVID, now called long COVID. And that is the neurological system, so the brain, spinal cord, nerves. You heard about Guillain-Barré syndrome, people being paralyzed, dementia, ringing in the ears, even you're lost in taste and
Or
smell.
losing the, what is it, on the frozen?
Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy.
Is where your
yeah.
nerve in your face gets paralyzed. These are all neurological symptoms. But even loss of taste and smell that millions of people still struggle with today, that is a neurological symptom.
Right.
What about autoimmune? Does that have those?
Autoimmune diseases are included in the long COVID scenario.
Neuropathy?
Neuropathy is a big one. That's a neurological condition too, right? So neuropathy is inflammation and pain of the nerves in your body.
So that your neurological system was really affected by this.
Yep. And now cancers. Have you not heard about turbo cancers? all around
Returning
the world?
cancers.
Yep, and returning cancers.
Wow.
Now, are you saying that this is a result of having COVID or taking the COVID vaccine?
This is 100% diagnosed long COVID is the diagnosis in parentheses or italics. It is called long COVID. 200 symptoms make up long COVID. And the definition is you had to have had a mild case of COVID that you recovered from, but then these symptoms persist and get worse for years. And I need to tell the world something. You ready? Daystar audiences, table, did you know that they've published that the symptoms you're going to carry called long COVID, you will have for an average of 12.7 to 14 years?
Wow. Wow.
That's why I wrote the book.
Okay, so she talked about, you said anyone who's had COVID, but what about people who had COVID but also had the shot?
This book addresses both the categories of those who just got COVID, now have long COVID symptoms, or those who were vaccine injured or vaccinated and have symptoms.
What are the injuries for the vaccine injured? Is it the same list?
Very close to the same list. So myocarditis is heart inflammation and damage.
And that's what Dr. Peter McCullough talks about.
Big
These
time.
young men who have now the heart of like 60-year-old versus a 20 or 30-year-old.
Yeah, myocarditis is demoralizing, and the CDC published, and me and Peter went around the world testifying in Capitol buildings, that the CDC reported that teenage boys were having the highest rates of myocarditis being diagnosed within 7 days of the second Pfizer shot than any other age demographic. The problem with that is Dr. Hinton in England, in their National Health Services, they published a 50% death rate for anybody diagnosed with myocarditis within 5 years.
Oh, my.
Imagine that being a parent of a teenager diagnosed with myocarditis. And the great news is, during COVID-19, during the pandemic, they published a cure for myocarditis in 3 days.
What is it?
And it's a small dose of nicotine.
A small dose of nicotine.
We'll share it in the book.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, go back to remdesivir just quickly, because a lot of people were put in the hospital, put on ventilators, and put on remdesivir, which, by the way, is they're now calling it what?
It's the brand name for the drug remdesivir is Veklury, V-E-K-L-U-R-Y. It is the exact same drug, but all hospitals are no longer saying remdesivir.
They don't say, because people know now that remdesivir isn't safe. But talk a little bit about what Dr. Fauci said about remdesivir early on and what the real truth about remdesivir is and was, and how many people actually died from being on the vent and remdesivir.
May 1st, 2020, Dr. Anthony Fauci published a memo on his website, nih.gov, and it was a 3-paragraph memo. I found it on May 20th of 2020, and it actually just stated, the only drug that can be used in hospitals in someone who's been diagnosed with COVID-19 in America is an experimental drug called remdesivir. So out the gate, I knew it was not FDA approved and hasn't been around a long time or been prescribed by any medical professional. And I was curious about that. And in the memo, he stated there's 2 studies that he states in the memo proved remdesivir was safe and effective for the Ebola virus and for COVID-19. So I read the 2 studies that were hyperlinked in the memo on May 20th, 2020, only to discover that the first research study he quoted, the Ebola trial in Africa, it was actually pulled from the trial by the Independent Safety Board on month 6 in the 1-year trial. There was 4 drugs in the trial. Remdesivir was pulled because it killed 53% of all people they gave it to, and that was more than the percentage of people who even die from Ebola. It was the only drug of the 4 that had a higher than 50% death rate. And then the reason why I hired a publicist, and anybody, including Daystar, knows who I am, is because Anthony Fauci's department at the NIH funded that study in Africa on Ebola with remdesivir. So when he came out and said it was proven safe and effective, I knew he was lying. Then I read the second study, which was Gilead, the maker of remdesivir, was allowed in January of 2020 to do a 3-month study on 50 people with COVID-19 around the world. And what did they publish? They published that over 30% of all the people they gave the drug to in the first 9 days experienced acute kidney failure, and 7 to 8% of all of them had to stop the drug trial in those 9 or 10 days because they needed an emergency kidney transplant because remdesivir killed their kidneys. Then in November, after May of 2020, when I start speaking out about the truth about remdesivir, the FDA in America approves remdesivir for COVID-19 the last week of October 2020. The very next week, the World Health Organization in November 2020 publishes a press release for the whole world and makes a stance and declares no hospitalized COVID-19 patient in the world should ever be given remdesivir because of its acute kidney failure rates. Imagine that dichotomy.
Wow. The other drugs that actually would help people with COVID, that would be Dr. Bartlett's budesonide, that would be Dr. Pierre Corey talking about ivermectin, Dr. Simone Gold talking about hydroxychloroquine. Just kind of go through those 3 and how they were eviscerated in the secular media and what was actually the truth about ivermectin, budesonide, and hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, it was amazingly shocking to watch these medical professionals with such high acumen, such polished careers. Dr. Bartlett, oh my goodness. He's even been trusted by the governor of Texas for years during his reign, Rick Perry, to be a medical advisor to the governor. Okay, this guy announces in May of 2020 that God has led him to know a cure that is cheap and is FDA approved for years for newborns, preemies, up to 100-year-old people, and this is called budesonide. His reputation was destroyed in the mainstream media and by medical professionals all over the place.
And that's where you just, you're able to inhale it, right? I mean, you can get
it's an asthma inhaler.
Yeah, so, and you hook up to a
nebulizer.
A nebulizer. You buy a nebulizer and you do that. And so he had tremendous success with it, but what did they say about him?
Yeah, so then the media just destroyed him and said, don't listen to Dr. Richard Bartlett. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then Oxford University, like the oldest university in the world, decides to do 2 research studies to see if Dr. Bartlett's claims are right. And they do 2 independent studies and confirm with absolute certainty in both of them that 90+% success rate, survival rate in all people treated with budesonide alone when diagnosed with COVID-19.
So let's talk about ivermectin, the horse drug. We were all taking the horse drug.
Yes.
Right, everybody was
We're better for it.
Yeah, that's what's amazing. So in 2015 or 2016, ivermectin, the inventor, won a Nobel Prize in medicine for curing multiple human diseases, not horse diseases.
And safer than aspirin?
Human diseases, safer than aspirin. And ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine have been found currently and have been during the pandemic in every CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid pharmacy in America. And not a single veterinarian goes there to get medicines for their horses.
Exactly.
Only humans go in there to get their prescriptions filled for other humans or themselves, right? So ivermectin is an incredibly safe, effective, Nobel Prize-winning drug that has cured people when many drugs
And
have
how does
failed.
that work quickly? Ivermectin.
Ivermectin for COVID?
Yeah.
So ivermectin actually binds to receptors in the nervous system and in every cell of the human body called alpha-7 nicotine receptors. And ivermectin is a positive, it's called a PAM, short for positive allosteric modulator. It binds to nicotine receptors, and then the spike proteins of COVID can't bind to your cells to make you sick.
Okay, and then hydroxychloroquine.
And hydroxychloroquine has a similar action, but it actually helps to detox the proteins to get them out. In fact, hydroxychloroquine, which Simone Gold was destroyed about when using it in a hospital.
Well, she used
had
it to cure
license
a
taken away.
patient.
Yes, she cured them when remdesivir was creating acute kidney failure and other issues in their patients as they were dying. So as an ER doc, she's like, we're gonna go with hydroxychloroquine when she did her own research and found that Dr. Anthony Fauci in 2005 with SARS-CoV-1 funded a study and proved that hydroxychloroquine was the perfect cure for SARS-CoV-1. And Simone Gold, Dr. Ben Marble, and Dr. Zev Zelenko in March of 2020 started publishing that hydroxychloroquine with zinc is the magic bullet to help people get over COVID.
Okay, so let's talk about how did COVID start? Because Cindy, I know you had questions about that.
Yes.
We heard it came from a bat, and
Market.
Yeah, so
from the market.
So I guess dead seafood on ice is coughing on people walking by because it's a respiratory virus, and you got to be within 6 feet of the coughing shrimp on the ice that's headless.
Even though
by
the
way.
shrimp can't breathe. No,
Yeah. So supposedly it's only spread for 6
They
feet.
really think we as human beings are morons.
In fact, the title of my very first chapter is, let me get this straight, a bat coughed in China and made the whole world sick.
Right.
I mean,
How many of you fell for that?
yeah.
I didn't fall for it.
Good. I hope the majority of people
At first they said that, you know, it didn't even like come from a lab. I mean, they kept changing the story every time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it went from a bat coughed in China around a lab called Wuhan in a cave in some territory of China to then being spread by a pangolin, which is like this big armadillo-looking, I don't even know, tank-looking creature that I've never seen in my whole life. But just know, for every animal they want to blame COVID on, a person had to be within 6 feet and get coughed on by that animal to get this respiratory virus.
Right.
So how many of you have ever been 6 feet within a pangolin's cough reach, or a bat, or a snake, which they actually published in January 2020 could be the source of COVID, CNN reported, 2 snakes. Or then they actually announced, CDC did last year, that they thought the raccoon dog might be the animal that started COVID.
Is that a real thing?
Yes, you can look it up, but I've never seen one in my whole life, and I don't think anybody else has either.
Okay, the raccoon dog. I hadn't heard that one. Okay, so
Maybe a zookeeper.
Where did it come from?
All right, so what we do know is that in every single country of the world, what was found in every single COVID-positive patient, blood, urine, and feces, this was done in 4 different countries. China, January 2020, France, April of 2020, Italy and Germany in October of 2021. All published in medical peer-reviewed journals online right now. They found that every single person sick with any COVID-19 symptom, anybody with long COVID, had in their blood, urine, and feces a combination of 36 different animal venom proteins in their blood, urine, and feces, making up all their blood clotting issues, loss of taste and smell, ringing in their ears, paralyzation, low oxygen levels. And everyone who has COVID, long COVID right now, there's 20 million in America supposedly. If you're struggling with loss of taste and smell still, if you have ringing in your ears that are driving you crazy, if you have dementia, brain fog, memory issues, if you cannot walk upstairs without stopping and having to catch your breath, if you can't exercise because you're now induced with asthma, since having COVID. If you now have schizophrenia, delusions, hallucinations are all now long COVID symptoms. If you now have dental issues you never had before, I summarize these all in the book. These are all published long COVID symptoms. The 36 different man-made, genetically engineered venom proteins called spike proteins of COVID, determined by DNA analysis in 4 different countries now, confirm all of these venoms in combination create all the blood clots, turbo cancers, brain fog, low oxygen levels. When we saw everybody clip a little device to their finger and watch their oxygen levels fall, hypoxia is created by these venom proteins that target nicotine receptors in the body. So anybody who is still struggling with any of these symptoms, you need to know that in January of 2023, some scientist named Mark Lemke decided to do a research study that was published now by our NIH on PubMed.gov. He took people who have had all of their long COVID symptoms for at least 2 years. They had to have tried ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and physical therapy and got no benefit or relief. He took every single one of these patients and asked them to do one thing and one thing only. Will you please just wear a 7 milligram nicotine patch, one new one every day for 6 days, and let's see if it cures you of all your symptoms.
Wow.
And I would like to quote, 100% of all long COVID symptoms were either gone in the first day of wearing a 7 milligram nicotine patch or at the latest wearing it on the 6th
And why
day.
does the nicotine work?
Yeah, this is what the French scientists found out in April of 2020. They actually determined that the spike proteins of COVID had this identical genetic alignment to 2 snake venom's proteins that target nicotine receptors. This is April of 2020.
So are you saying that the snake venom was actually in the original lab?
Oh, where did the snake venom combine with a bat virus called it coronavirus? The only way that would happen is if man combined the two in a lab. Okay, so unless a bat and snake are mating to cross their genes.
So that's what makes up the COVID vaccination.
Right, then the COVID-19 vaccines are actually genetic material called DNA plasmids. This may shock the world. There's no mRNA in any of the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines. The NIH published last year, they didn't put any mRNA in any of the shots. They put DNA plasmids. And for all of you out there with long COVID and vaccine injury, please, you've got to understand this. And if anybody out there is struggling and has not found relief for their symptoms, please get the book and buy a second copy and give it to your healthcare professional who is trying to answer your questions of why you still suffer. Many of those answers are in there, I promise, for all of your problems. You need that information to address that. How does nicotine work? They found that the 7 milligram nicotine patches cures all long COVID. You put it on, the nicotine binds to what are called alpha-7 nicotine receptors, the same receptors that ivermectin bind to, but nicotine is way more powerful. Picture a magnet, has a much higher polarity to stick to nicotine receptors, and when that happens, these venom proteins called spike proteins cannot fit into that nicotine receptor. Something's already occupying it called nicotine, which God designed, put in the tobacco plant, and in eggplants, and in your red tomatoes, and in cauliflower, and in white potatoes. You've all been eating nicotine your whole life in all these plants.
So, but nicotine is not addictive like smoking is. But interestingly enough, smokers did not get COVID like most people did. There was a high percentage that weren't affected. It was because of the nicotine in cigarettes. But we know that they add stuff to the cigarette, and that's what's addictive. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. Good job. I think you've read that book.
I learned that from you, actually. I didn't know that.
You read that book.
But I'm like a little sponge with you doctors. I love learning all this.
So when that binds to the nicotine, then does the body just dispel it?
Yeah, so what happens is the nicotine binds to the receptor, and if you have venom proteins, even if you got bit by a cobra, you can actually take tobacco plants, have them either put the tobacco leaves right on their legs, let the body soak in the nicotine, and it will protect their life from dying. They do this all over the world.
My husband was bitten by a rattlesnake when he was a young boy, about 11 or 12, and this old rancher said, by the time he got down the mountain, the old rancher said, there's no need to take him 40 miles to the doctor. So he spent the next 12 hours putting tobacco poultice on it, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, and he fully recovered.
Yep. This is actually the great paradox. Did you know that of all people around the world, the highest numbers of people who died or were hospitalized from COVID, long COVID, or vaccine injury? Do you know who that demographic is?
Who?
It's all diabetics. 40% of all people that died in hospitals were diabetic.
Why is that?
Smokers were 1.6% of all deaths of COVID. It's the smallest demographic period.
Oh, my goodness.
So why was diabetes such a big issue? All right, so this is massively important. Everybody out there with long COVID vaccine injury, you're going to learn in the book that it has already been shown that inside the bowels of all long COVID patient and the vaccine injured, inside their bodies, particularly diabetics, because they have this inability to regulate blood sugar, sugar feeds these bacteria and yeast or fungi that live in the bowels of the vaccinated and long COVID. Did you know that the DNA plasmids inside the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines are designed that when you inject them inside of you, Cindy, It'll float around in your blood, get into your gut, and when it finds E. coli bacteria and yeast in your colon, the DNA plasmids in the bacteria and the yeast draw in the DNA plasmid, and the DNA of the plasmid combines with their DNA, and this technology programs the bacteria and yeast for the rest of its life to spit out the venom proteins in your body called spike proteins. If you want to cure a long COVID patient, you have to do a stool analysis to look for E. coli and yeast, and when you find it, you have to eliminate it, and there's simple ways to do it. Black cumin seed oil will knock it out within just a few days. Some medical doctors would use antibiotics, and they've already proven this. Inside the bowels of all vaccine-injured and long COVID patients, they have bacteria and yeast that are replicating a combined 20 different snake venom proteins, a starfish venom protein called the crown of thorns starfish venom. This is confirmed by DNA evidence. Imagine that irony.
The crown of thorns.
The crown of thorns starfish. And then there is 15 different cone snails, venoms, found in all these patients being replicated in the bowels and in the bloodstreams of every long COVID and vaccine injured. As long as you can identify which one of those bugs it is that has been programmed to make these poisons in your body, once you eliminate them, all the production of these poisons disappears, and now your body can safely detox them out through pooping, peeing, sweating, coughing.
So have you seen people with neurological disorders do this kind of therapy you're talking about?
Absolutely.
And get better?
Absolutely. Every single long COVID symptom we've seen improve with the recommendations we lay out in the book.
Y'all love all this, right?
Yes.
So good.
Absolutely.
Well, we are out of time, but I want you to remember that your health and wholeness are available. And of course, God sent his son to heal all of our sickness, all of our disease, and his healing power is still available for you today. He's also put things in the earth that are practical, that can bring about healing. And so however you need healing today, we're gonna pray for you. If you're watching, you need prayer, that's why that number's on the screen. The most important prayer you could pray is asking Jesus to come into your heart and be Lord of your life. And you just say, Jesus, I need you, forgive me, come into my heart today. And you can become a new creature in Christ Jesus. That's really more important than anything else we're talking about, that you be prepared for eternity. And you can't be prepared if you don't know Jesus. So again, if you need that, someone to pray with you, if you prayed that prayer, I'll send you the Gospel of John to start reading the Bible. And that's just our free gift to you. But I do want to thank Dr. Ardis for joining us today. And to get a copy of his book and know more about his work, you can visit thedrardisshow.com. You actually developed a product to help, right?
It's called Foreign Protein Cleanse. So there's 3 damaging aspects in the human body: neurological, blood, and organs. The Foreign Protein Cleanse is a combined, all-natural plant extracts God created that address all these areas that can be hurt by COVID-19 or the vaccine.
So the symptoms we talked about could be helped by this. Something that you put
Everybody who's
together.
struggling should be on Foreign Protein Cleanse.
Okay. Well, as always, make sure to follow us on our social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel for full episodes, exclusive content, and let us know how Table Talk is touching your life, because we love hearing from you. You can also listen to the Joni Table Talk podcast, available now on all the major platforms. But I want to thank you, Dr. Ardis, for being here. Will you come back?
Of course I will.
On what's going on. Y'all have more questions, I'm sure. We all have more questions, but I hope this has helped you today. For those of you that had the shot, you didn't have the shot, you're having long-term, short-term, whatever, you just need healing in your body. That's why that number's on the screen. We love you, and God loves you, and that's why we bring this kind of information to the table, because we want to be a blessing to you, and we want you to be informed. Remember his book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. He goes into great detail about all this. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today.